The Legend of Randidly Ghosthound is a LitRPG I've recently gotten into that has really captivated my attention. Let's talk about it. Hey there everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Inc. My name is Wyeth, and today we're talking about The Legend of Randidly Ghosthound, a 6-book LitRPG series written by Puddles number. A very captivating series because I really fell in love with the homage to the spear. Now this is, as most of y'all know, humans' oldest weapon, if you discount a rock in the hand. This book follows Randidly, a young man going through college, and he doesn't really know exactly what his life is supposed to look like. He comes from a childhood where he was doing his best, but due to circumstances being raised by somewhat of a single mother, you get to see that he has grown up with some dysfunctions, to say the least. With those dysfunctions, it has set him on the right track for the system to have come and collected Earth into its clutches, as it normally does in books like this. Randidly has a good opportunity that other people on Earth do not have, having been spawned into a dungeon prior to anyone else. This has led Randidly to gain some traction as well as some guidance from a mentor figure to become the spear that will defend Earth from not only the enemies that come along with the system, but from other humans as well that are going to utilize and bend the system to their own nefarious means. Yes, I'm a wordsmith. I'm very proud of it. Now, I don't want to give too much away for obvious reasons, which is why I'll just go ahead and jump into the pro-con-pro for why you should or should not pick up this book series. I vote you should, but that's just me. The first pro is going to be the length of the books. Now, for all y'all reading addicts out there who do enjoy a LitRPG, this is the series for you because the books are so long. Sadly, there's only 6 out. I say sadly like that's a short amount. It's not. It's a decent chunk of books for an author to get done in such a short amount of time. But on average, these books have to be at least 200,000 words each. If you're picking it up on Audible, expect the reading time to be at least 20 hours for most of them. When you pick it up and you put it in your ear, or you buy the Kindle version, as many of y'all are wont to do, you're going to realize that there is a lot to cover in these books, and for that I'm thankful. It saves me some money because, you know, my Audible addiction is really coming to bite me in the butt, but that's why I save. With that said though, the con I do want to jump into, and it's something that a lot of really long books face at some point in time, is it's covering a plethora of topics. And with that, not all the topics are going to be of interest to everybody. Now, in my case, I thought a large majority of the things I was just really captured and really impressed by. But you know, there's certain things that Randidly pursues or gains interest in, and it's written very well, but when you have books this long, you will inevitably run into a topic that just doesn't capture your interest as much as, you know, let's say smithing would, or let's say the fight scenes would. So that is something to consider if you do pick this one on up. On the other side of the coin, however, Randidly, our main protagonist for my second pro, is so focused. He's so diligent, and his work ethic really does know no bound, which is why we get such a large spread of different topics or areas of interest coming from him. And that gives the audience an opportunity to actually pick and choose what they like and what they don't like, opposed to, let's say, in a 6 to 7 hour book, you know, the protagonist can really only focus on 1 or 2 topics, and if it's not of the audience interest, then you're going to lose readers that way. So that is a big reason of why you should pick up Legend of Randidly Ghosthound. As always, I'm going to go ahead and put the links in the bio, affiliate links, the Royal Road link, if there is one. I don't know if I've checked that yet. as well as if the author has a Patreon. I'm definitely going to put that link in the description below, so feel free to check those on out if you do want to pick up book 1. As of right now, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the deep dive, talking about the spoilers up to and including book 6, the most recent publication on out. So if you are up to date on this series, feel free to stick around. We can talk shop a little bit more on the intricacies of why this book is so dang good. And if you haven't already picked the series on up, once you finish it, come back to the video, and I would love to see y'all's thoughts in the comments below. With all that said, let's jump to the deep dive. So it seems to me that as Randidly has obtained more power, has become more of an influential figure, and has really been hopping from different planet to different planet, he is gaining more insight into how to conduct himself with other people, though at the same time, he seems to put much less of a stressor on it. This is definitely seen due to his relationship, or the breaking down of his interactions with Lyra, his difficulty communicating with Helen, though he is able to become a little bit more blunt and a little bit more honest with himself, or at least with her, as time goes on, and his budding interactions with Lucretia. And not in a non-platonic sense, he's more viewing her as a peer and a friend at this point, and it seems to me like she is doing the same thing. Though it definitely seems that a lot of these books, LitRPGs to be specific, have very antisocial protagonists. I'm very curious to find out why these authors write their protagonists this way, whether it's a bit of a mirror image to themselves, or if that is a conduit to really obtain the power and the prestige, or at least the accomplishments that the protagonists need to hit to create a good story. Let's say, for example, you can't really go and fight the dragon if you're really, spending too much time with the girlfriend back at the house. And I can understand that mentality, and this story specifically really reminded me of it, but that's really the main reason that I look into books, and have found that a lot of books really do and capture my attention, is this tension between two people, whether it be mentor-mentee, whether it be two peers striving to best each other, or in this case, whether it be a budding romance. Those are the reasons that authors can really incite intrigue in their audience members. And not to say that that intrigue is not in this book, it's just, it seems to me that a lot of people have these expectations of what Randidly is, and then we get to see his own personal viewpoint on the situation, and he's not even paying those interactions any mind at all, which really is what allows him to obtain and accomplish the things that he is able to do, because he's not worried about others' expectations. He's worried about the job, because the job is to save mankind from the calamity, and it seems to him, at the very least, that no one's really putting too much of a prioritization on that like he is, and to some degree he is definitely correct there. But I digress from that point. One thing I do want to focus on is the fact that the author took the spear as the main weapon for his protagonist and not the axe. It seems to me that a lot of other lit RPGs out there are taking on the axe as the main weapon of their protagonists. This is the first one that I've actually got to see a really heavy influence on the spear itself, and that's definitely shown when Randidly travels to the 5th cohort, Shaw's world, and he is able to really get to understand the spear as well as the magic system, aka images in this point, and their effect on the world. And he is able to bring that knowledge back to Earth, where he is seen as a god amongst men, or at least a demigod, because every time he takes a trip into a dungeon or leaves Earth for the 5th cohort, he comes back even stronger than he left. And not even stronger, he's outpacing the people of Earth by leaps and bounds, even though, yes, they did not get the head start that he did at the beginning of book 1, being trapped in a dungeon, though they are definitely taking advantage of those dungeons now. So we'll see how his time, and now that he's taken a class, has an impact with him keeping the lead, but I imagine as the protagonist of the book, we don't have much to worry about. I'm very interested to see how this series continues ongoing. I really want to find out what the calamity is going to be, since we got a little bit more information in book 6 on at least the second aspect of the calamity, and I imagine Randidly might be facing a shadow clone of himself. To that, we'll have to find on out, though at the same time, I know for a fact who's ever gotten to book 6 is really enjoying this series so far, just as much as I did, ideally, and hopefully we can get book 7 by the end of the year, though at the same time, it's a lot of work. With all that said, I do appreciate everyone's time. If y'all have gotten to this portion of the video, feel free to jump in the comments, tell me y'all's thoughts on really what you loved about the series, what you really thought could use a little more work, or at the same time, feel free to recommend another series my way. My TBR list is getting a little shorter now, so more recommendations are for the best. So I do appreciate everyone's time. Hope y'all all have a wonderful rest of your week, and be sure to keep reading.